Well, look, I appreciate you all being here for what is a very sad day in the history of New South Wales. I'm joined with some of my parliamentary colleagues, as well as the Commissioner for Police and the Commissioner for New South Wales Ambulance, to speak about the events of the last 48 hours. Of course, Sydney has suffered a horrifying and violent attack on innocent people who are doing something everybody does on the weekend, and that is going shopping with their family and their friends. The individual stories of those who've been killed, the complete strangers rushing in to help, as well as acts of courage and bravery, mean that whether you know the individuals who've been killed or not, you're grieving today. And the entire state will have to get behind those families in the days ahead as they recover and they go through the inevitable grief associated with such a horrifying event. We're going to do our best to answer questions today. There will inevitably, when you've got a major criminal investigation like this one, perhaps be more questions than answers, but it's very important that the people of New South Wales know that the inquiry didn't end yesterday. The investigation continues, and across the entire government we will do everything we can to ensure that we've got accurate information that's presented to the people of New South Wales to prevent acts like this from happening again. Look, I can understand that in circumstances like this, many in the community will feel real anger. We'll have to process that grief in the days ahead, but it's very important to say that New South Wales will bounce back. We're a strong community, and if I could point and highlight some of that strength in the last 24 hours, firstly for the doctors, the paramedics, as well as the nurses in our public hospitals that worked around the clock to save lives and did an amazing job in difficult circumstances. To the ordinary members of the public that cornered and confronted a murderer in the Westfield shopping centre, showing what I would call instinctive bravery under terrible circumstances. And of course, Inspector Amy Scott, who ran towards danger, showed professionalism and bravery, and without a shadow of a doubt, saved many, many lives in the last 24 hours. I know that many people, because of the number of those that have been killed, may take cold comfort from this fact, but nonetheless it is a fact, and that is that the best in this state confronted one of the worst acts we've ever seen, and we are very, very grateful for the men and women that stood up in Bondi Junction in the last day. I'm going to hand over to the Police Commissioner.
Thank you, Premier. There was an operational briefing provided this morning where we outlined the name of the offender. There is still much work to be done. What stands behind me is a very active crime scene. Investigators have been here overnight and will be here all day today and maybe into the night. As you know, the shopping centre is closed while police deal with what was a very confronting crime scene over a broad area in the shopping centre. My thoughts go out to the families of those who have been murdered, to those that have been injured, and to those people that were in the shopping centre and, as the Premier has said, showed a great deal of courage yesterday. But also to the emergency services and of course the police officers who responded to this very traumatic scene. And the actions of Inspector Amy Scott had no doubt prevented the loss of additional lives. As we've reported, 6 people were murdered and up to 12 people are still in hospital, including a 9-month-old infant. And today I understand the families have identified 2 of those victims, and it may be some time before we can identify all of the victims because some family members do not reside in Australia. So this will be an active investigation for many days and perhaps weeks while we identify not only the movement of the offender, not just yesterday, but the hours, the days, the weeks, his life leading up to yesterday. And it will take some time to work with the families. A family liaison officer has been appointed to each family for us to work with them in what is an extremely distressing time for them. Thank you.
All right, do you want to jump in? Sure, thanks.
Thank you, Premier. Thank you, Commissioner. Our country woke up this morning, as the Premier said, with perhaps many more questions than answers. But what we do know is this: the bravery of our police, the dedication and skill and courage of our paramedics and our incredibly talented health work clinicians means people are alive today. And I want to say on behalf of the New South Wales Health family how very, very proud we are. Last night I attended a debriefing of about 40 odd paramedics in total. We had a major event of 75 paramedics in and around this scene. Countless number of people back at multiple trauma centres across New South Wales hospitals here in Sydney, and we have at the moment 12 patients in our care, ranging from critical care down to serious but stable. Had the opportunity to speak with paramedics last night who were first on scene, and the harrowing scenes, the chaotic scenes, is something that they will never forget. We are wrapping around supports around our individual frontline officers. I also visited the Children's Hospital at Randwick last night, where I spoke with nurses and clinicians who dealt with that 9-month-old infant who had been stabbed and was in a critical condition and was operated on last night and is now in the ICU. Thank you so much to all of our healthcare professionals, both our paramedics, of course our staff within our healthcare system and our hospitals, supported so well by our police. Without a doubt, they have saved lives, and we, on behalf of all of us, are so very, very grateful. I do want to emphasise that mental health support will be coming here to Bondi from 2 o'clock this afternoon. There will be dedicated support officers in place. We are boosting support on our mental health care line, and we are providing mental health support to those frontline responders. I don't want people to suffer as a result of this tragedy. These are traumatic scenes that people would have witnessed yesterday, both outside the centre and inside the centre. And please reach out. There will be support available, and it will be ongoing.
Thanks, Ryan, and all of us are happy to take questions.
Mr. Minns, flying back in from Tokyo to discussing with police officers and emergency personnel, how great is it to see the other acts of heroism and all their work?
Well, look, I mean, the state's grieving, and many people would be showing real anger at so many people having been killed and real loss of life. And the individual stories of those that have been killed, that have been reported in the media, are heartbreaking. I don't want to search for a silver lining, but it has been incredible to see complete strangers jump in, run towards the danger, put their own lives in harm's way to save someone that they've never met before. And look, there's not too many positives to take out of a horrifying event, but we've got some wonderful people in our city and our state. And it's been encouraging to see so many people affected by what's happened in Bondi, whether you knew one of the people that have been killed or not.
Looking at the response to Amy Scott, this confirms online the importance of being carrying firearms on the job?
Well, that is absolutely crucial, and the instinctive bravery of Inspector Amy Scott in those circumstances. I'm sure she'll speak for herself, but running towards the danger, I mean, exemplifying the very best of public service in this state. She's a career police officer. She's with her family today, which is important, but this state owes her an enormous debt of gratitude, and I'm sure that there's many committees to run through before someone's actually given a hero award or a bravery award, but I think we can call it. This is outstanding courage and bravery under incredibly difficult circumstances, and her actions yesterday saved many, many lives.
Commissioner or Premier, I'm not sure who's best to answer this question, but what do you know at this stage about this man's motive?
Might hand over to the Commissioner.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you. At this stage, we don't know a motive. What we do understand so far is that there's no ideological motivation. We do understand that there is a history of mental health, but it will be the ongoing work of the investigators to determine what his activities were yesterday and the days before that might indicate a motive. But let me assure everyone that we are not looking for anyone else, and we have no other concerns, and people should not be concerned that there was any ongoing threat.
Commissioner, can you shed more light on the storage unit? Have you found anything in the storage unit?
I understand a very small receptacle with not much in it. But whatever is in it will form part of the investigation, but it hasn't certainly indicated anything more that goes to motive.
Where is that storage unit? I know it's the surface on the beach or...
Oh, I think it's in a city somewhere.
And sorry to put in again, the understanding is known to police via a welfare check. Is there any indication that this man was a rough sleeper or had schizophrenia or mental health issues like that?
So we understand from what we know, and as I said, it's very early and we will learn more, no doubt. And the other important thing before I answer your question that is, if people have information, to call Crime Stoppers. If people were involved yesterday and they have not yet spoken to police, can they come forward to police or call Crime Stoppers? There are many, many witnesses out there we're still yet to talk to and identify. But in terms of the individual, he's not known criminally, but he has come to notice of law enforcement in this state and Queensland for mental health related issues.
Have you received a briefing from Queensland Police?
We are working closely with Queensland.
But have they given you a briefing about the individual?
We're working with them because the holdings may not just be police holdings, they might be health holdings, and so that will mean that we'll work with Queensland government and other authorities in Queensland.
Add to that too. I just think it's important to note that the Premier of Queensland has made contact with me and opened up all the resources of the Queensland government for this investigation, and it sounds like we'll need it, so that's very encouraging.
Do you have any information about the nationality? Can you talk about some of the families residing outside Australia?
We don't have any information right now at this media conference. You'd appreciate that family members have to be contacted before the information can be released, and that may be a challenge. So I'm sure police and those families will release it as soon as they're comfortable, but sometimes it proves challenging to contact family members.
He was a rough sleeper and had mental health issues and he was receiving support for that with underage.
I can't speak to that now, other than to assure you that an across-the-board review, not just in relation to New South Wales Police, but health and other major agencies, is obviously taking place. It's a very sad anniversary in New South Wales today. The murder of Stephen Toga 1 year ago today. A paramedic working on behalf of the people of New South Wales lost his life in circumstances which I won't go into right now, but obviously involved a mentally ill person and a knife. So we know we need to do more. The coroner will lead the investigation, and I want to make it clear that the New South Wales government will provide any and all resources to do a comprehensive investigation by the coroner.
Is there any indication, this large knife that you have, is there any indication that you might have brought that around here and gone in, or is it, do we know?
It's really too early to tell. We understand that he drew it out of his backpack, but where it came from before that will be subject to the investigation.
Do we know one of the victims might have been a
I understand that is possibly the case. There was one male murdered and 5 females, so we understand that the one male was a security guard.
Commissioner, do you know when the last time it was that he had contact with mental health support?
I think it's too difficult to speculate because we'll be looking at both New South Wales private sector interactions as well as anything interstate. So really too early to speculate about the number and number of times.
Premier,
Yes.
start of school holidays, this is a safe space, or so we thought.
Yeah.
Message to New South Wales for families getting out and about now?
Well, look, I think it's really important to note that this centre is closed at the moment. We hope to reopen soon. There are a lot of people who've got cars still located in the shopping centre. My understanding is they're moving out now. Thanks to everyone for their patience. I have to say no one's reported any aggro about that. There's tremendous understanding from the Bondi community as to the circumstances. My message is, let's come together. We'll recover. It's going to be a very difficult few days, and those families no doubt have gone through hell, but there's 8 million people in this state that are behind them. Everybody's grieving as a result of this, and they're not alone.
Have you spoken personally with any of the victims' families?
I haven't. I'm leaving that up to New South Wales Police, but I appreciate that if they want information directly from me or anyone else from the New South Wales Government, will provide it immediately. It's also important to note that New South Wales Police will provide a liaison officer for all of the victims' families so that they are in a position to navigate inquiries, investigations, the latest information that they're entitled to, as well as any ongoing support that they may need. That worked, I think, well during the Greta bus accident, again around 12 months ago, and we'll be rolling out the same system here.
Premier, maybe a logistical.
First day of school
Alex.
holidays, a lot of children would have been in the shopping centre with their parents and seeing some pretty horrific
Yeah.
scenes. What is your recommendation to parents, who may have been in there with their kids, who are probably going through a pretty horrific time?
Yeah, I can only imagine what a family's gone through. It seems like such an ordinary thing to go to a shopping centre on a Saturday afternoon, perhaps catch up with some friends or do some last-minute shopping, and people were confronting a terrible, terrible circumstance. I mean, in the first instance, as I said earlier, we just can't let it pass by. The inordinate, extraordinary courage of complete strangers, some of whom haven't even been identified yet. I mean, that is the definition of a good Samaritan, and we owe them a big debt of gratitude. I've seen some of the images of dads walking their kids out of the shopping centre, shielding their eyes, and you'd never think that you have to go through that in 2024 in a mainstream shopping centre on the first day of school holidays. And I'm devastated that those families and those kids have had to grow up so quickly. All I can say to them is that this city and this state is strong. There are wonderful people within it, and you'll need to look no further than Inspector Amy Scott.
Premier, from a logistical aspect, have you been briefed about when the shoppers who fled would be able to retrieve their belongings, their cars? There are thousands of cars.
So there's a distinction there. Firstly, in relation to cars, my understanding is that most of them are allowed out now. New South Wales Police are working on that, but my best guess is to come to the car parking area and see if you can retrieve your car. In relation to the crime scene inside the shopping centre, that may take more time. You'd appreciate that. It's an active crime scene, but I'm sure police will return it to the custody of Westfields as soon as possible.
Has it become more clear? I know it's an ongoing situation, but is it becoming more likely to investigate as it was likely?
I'm not prepared to speculate on that right now.
What was the question?
You mentioned the split, Commissioner, 5 women who were killed and 1 man. Many people have looked at the video footage that has come out over the past day and are wondering, do you believe this man was targeting women?
That's been reported to me as well, and obviously that will be an obvious line of inquiry, and that's concerning, but that will form part of the investigation. I mean, anyone seeing that footage can see that for themselves.
Do you believe it's possible for somebody to be ideologically motivated against women, and therefore would you call this an act of terrorism if that is the case?
Oh, I think that's stretching it in terms of a definition, and it's really too early to say. Yes.
Commissioner, could you just tell us a little bit more about the security guard? Because I think it's the first time we've heard. Do you know whether he was confronting a man? Do you know any details at this stage?
I don't, but as has been said, when more information is available, we will give it. But it will take days. I really need to stress, people need to be patient. This is not only a mass murder, it's also a critical incident investigation where an officer has discharged their firearm. So it's very, very complex, and it will take time.
Commissioner, in terms of the 12 people who were arrested, do you know the gender split there? Because you're so overwhelmed.
Yes.
How overwhelming?
I would have to rely on my health colleagues, but I think at least 8 are women.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any comments on the social media vision that's come out? Obviously, incredibly graphic. A lot of people filmed these incidents and put it out on social media. Are you worried about copycat attacks?
Well, look, what I would say in relation to that is reiterate the words of the Police Commissioner. If you have footage that you've collected on your mobile phone, give it to the New South Wales Police first, rather than uploading it on social media. That is critical information. It's desperately needed by New South Wales Police. We are formally putting out a call that if you have footage from yesterday in Westfields, send it through to Crime Stoppers, contact your local police station. It's important crime scene evidence, and it's necessary in this investigation.
So what are your thoughts on the bullying on social media?
Sorry, what was that?
What are your thoughts on how graphic social media
Well, look, I think people are going to have to use absolute discretion here. This has been a devastating crime scene. It's horrifying for those that have gone through it. Obviously, the footage from it will be incredibly confronting, so I'd urge people to use caution about posting this information. And like this would be the case 365 days of the year, but for parents right now, it's particularly important to be vigilant about what your kids are consuming on social media, because there is unfiltered, unedited, graphic imagery on social media at the moment, and once you see it once, it's not possible to erase it from your memory.
On the misinformation, we saw lots of speculation yesterday about the motive, looking at the geographic demographics of this area as well, trying to use it to various groups. Is that concerning as well? Are you concerned about social media?
Oh, look, I mean, I think the information is out now. Most people deal with factual information provided by the government in a responsible way. There's always going to be, particularly when you're dealing with social media, those who in a rogue way go and speculate on it. It's never helpful. I can promise you that New South Wales Police, the government as well, try and provide accurate, up-to-date information as soon as we can to media outlets and the general public. We recognise that there's genuine interest. We recognise that the public's got every right to know. There's no foot dragging taking place, and speculating on social media before the actual facts are released can have everybody pointing in the wrong direction.
Police Commissioner, okay. Sure. The male security guard that tragically was now deceased, was a second Westwood security guard also on the
I can't say. It'd be premature to say.
Commissioner, do you have details on the weapon itself, the knife?
No, just that it's a knife. One knife.
Commissioner, we know he left the centre and he returned. Do you have any idea what he did when he left the Westfield and which entrance and exits?
That'll all form part of the investigation.
Does this change the approach to security in the country that will use to violent attacks?
As has been said, it was a random attack. We don't know the motive. We can extrapolate what we think is a motive, but really Westfields and other places have security. Police are present. The police officer was 6 minutes away or less and acted very swiftly. So we are, as the Premier has said, a safe state, and this is the time to come together. So thank you.
Thanks everybody.
Thank you.